Hello, welcome to Care Forward Innovations podcast, hosted by Bernadette Vinas, sponsored by Care Forward AI, providing AI solutions for senior care. Care Forward Innovations, a new podcast focused on innovation in senior care services, and assisted living. We are dedicated to sharing the practical strategies that are truly making a difference, not just the academic concepts. We want to highlight what's actively improving senior care and operational efficiency.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Care Forward Innovations podcast. I hope that everybody watching is doing well. Today, our special guest is Stephanie Hooper, who is the president and CEO of Age Plus, a nonprofit focused on aging and age-inclusive communities in Oregon. Age Plus is leading a movement to reinvent aging for older adults, their families, and their communities. Their strategic goal is to make older age part of normal life, routine, rather than a separate siloed community or siloed system by integrating aging into mainstream sectors like housing, employment, and community planning. So, Stephanie, welcome to our podcast. I've been looking forward to our chat, especially after reading all the work that your organization has accomplished. I truly appreciate you spending time with us today and allowing the community to get an inside peek at your organization.
Well, we're flattered by the invitation and appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much, Bernie.
Yes, I'm glad that we're able to do this. So tell us about yourself and what led you to starting this organization.
I have an odd mixed background of both private sector and nonprofit sector background. I found myself bouncing back in between. I think it's because I kind of look at myself as a social entrepreneur. And sometimes that happens in the business world, sometimes that happens in the nonprofit world, and they tend to mix a lot. So I started my career in banking and finance and marketing, and just found myself after a bank merger. This was really like a long time ago, looking for purpose. And I found a job at the American Red Cross doing a social entrepreneurship job where we sold and scheduled CPR and first aid and AEDs for companies to help save lives.
That's
and
nice.
About 3 months after I started there is when 9/11 happened. So being part of a community response to such a national tragic disaster really sucked me into public good and serving my community.
Nice. So what do you feel makes your organization stand out?
Well, there aren't very many organizations focused on bringing not just the needs of older adults to the forefront, but the contributions and assets of older adults to the forefront. We tend to think of aging as a deficit-based proposition, and we're changing that narrative, through education and demonstrating, but also lifting up stories and highlighting people that, are making the most of our longevity bonus that we have now as people are living longer and are more vital longer in our communities.
So in that regard, then, can you give us some examples of some high impactful past initiatives?
Sure. So, we thought it was at least 5 more years away, but we now have just as many older adults as children 19 and under in our Oregon right now. And It's not unique to Oregon, but Oregon is the oldest state on the West Coast. And these trends have multi-sector implications, not just for how folks age, their own personal aging experience, but our systems of having nearly a quarter of your population be 65 plus. So that means we have to rethink employment. We need to be retaining older adults in the workforce, attracting them back. It means our housing needs to be built differently. Our healthcare needs are going to change.
Mhm.
And so one of our initiatives has been to build a multi-sector plan for Oregon, because right now the state has no vision for how we're going to move the needle in terms of adjusting to this demographic shift, because it's permanent. It's not a silver tsunami. This is going to be our new reality. And so let's thrive through it instead of it becoming even more of a crisis on our public assistance systems and families. Because, one of the reasons we have more older adults is because people are having fewer children.
That's
So
true.
fewer children means fewer built-in natural care networks to help people as they age.
I see.
Another initiative is our housing initiative. And that's where we are a affordable housing developer. And we just opened our third project where we're demonstrating a modular approach to construction of affordable housing, where we really accelerate how quickly we can get housing on the ground in a very cost-effective way that's very high quality, creates communities for older adults to still be engaged but to have a place, a secure, safe place, an affordable place to call home where then they can thrive and go from there.
It's kind of like an at-home care.
It's independent living.
Independent living.
We are about to launch what we call Circles of Care. It's a program that hasn't existed with our housing before. It's been in other communities, and that's really bringing neighbors to help neighbors, where you match community volunteers with older adults for a ride to the grocery store or to pick up a prescription, to get to a doctor's appointment, where, we are providing community space for engagement, digital literacy, skill building, how to use a computer or strengthen your skills on a computer. And then, opportunities for social isolation prevention, because that can be deadly as well.
Any other initiatives or?
Those are big.
Yes, I'm just saying. Like I said, I did read a lot of initiatives that you have accomplished.
Yeah. So, we also work very closely with public health systems to bring that aging lens to how they're engaging with the community, given that there's more older adults now, and especially in rural communities, older adults make up sometimes 30% already of the population. And then one of our most innovative and ambitious initiatives is to eliminate ageism. That is really through, well, we have a variety of vehicles, but we have some very well done curriculum that we take leaders and staff members through to really identify bias and help to break it down and interrupt it.
Any goals on spreading that nationwide by chance?
Well, it's actually a program developed in the state of Maine.
Okay.
One of my counterparts who does something similar in Maine, and they developed the curriculum, and we are their first national scaling partner. So it's called Leadership Exchange on Ageism. And we bring leaders from all across sectors together in a peer learning cohort model to really examine our own bias, our organizational bias and systemic bias, so that then you can identify and then start to dismantle. The Frameworks Institute has done research that says among all of our unfortunate biases in our society, when people recognize and identify ageism, they're more likely to change their behavior than other kinds of bias. So we're hopeful. And then by bringing leaders together, you are impacting people with influence and ability to change processes, to change policy, to think innovatively and include older adults in what they do instead of have them be an afterthought.
That is great. So with these trends that are shifting, do you feel that that's helping to contribute to growth for your organization?
It already has. I mean, it's brought board members, it's brought new sponsors and donors. It's introduced us to other companies where we can have an impact. And I think is starting to also shift perceptions and recognition that we need inaction is not an option anymore.
That is so true. That is so true. So for your outreach to the community, what has worked for your organization or what's been frustrating?
I would say there's no silver bullet in getting the word out. We try a lot of different mechanisms, but It's really person to person or opportunities to present to organizations or at conferences. We try and work with organizations that have reached themselves to be replicators. And certainly we've developed a really solid reputation as aging experts. So more and more we're being called upon than ever before because we keep showing up. We're a statewide agency, and thanks to Zoom, we can be in a lot of spaces all over the state. Before COVID, that wouldn't have been the case. You'd have to be traveling all of the time. That is one silver lining, that people really got comfortable communicating, meeting each other, building trusted relationships online. And it's no replacement for also being out there, but I think it's offered a really efficient way to maintain relationships and to grow and to start some relationship building. So we have community outreach and engagement staff that are participating at the local level. We have events, our fundraiser of the year that we have not only in person, but it's live streamed at the same time, so rural areas can enjoy that and be part of it. And we've spent more time this fall than ever presenting at conferences and other convenings to really bring that aging lens into the conversation.
So, but do you think, so you haven't really sent out like any, or I guess used any specific outreach?
We have our Emma e-news platform, which is like a MailChimp kind of thing. I mean, we do a lot of elect news type outreach and person-to-person outreach. I would say our paid advertising is very limited as a nonprofit. So we're really trying to be in spaces that leverage our expertise as subject matter experts and reach a lot of people in fewer engagements than trying to go everywhere.
So has it been frustrating to a certain degree? Like, do you feel like you haven't really reached enough of the community?
It's never enough. One of our goals is to be a household name, and we're not there yet. But we have a lot of help. We have a lot of champions. I wish there were, better systems in place that helped, but not all of our audience is on social media. So we really focus on the platforms we can access and do the best we can with the limited resources we have as a nonprofit.
Has any kind of technology or innovation helped at all with shaping your organization right now? Is there anything that stands out specifically that has pushed your organization, the visibility to the community or the growth?
Not any one platform, because it's all integrated in part of the marketing cycle.
Mm.
So our communications director is very strategic in our social media presence. We have our e-news, we have a YouTube, but they're all fragmented. There's no one way to create content and push it out to everyone. Older adults still are left out of the digital conversation so often, where we're not just trying to reach them, but people that influence their lives.
Mhm.
And so through partnerships and our social media and our e-news are the main ways news travels. We also have a really generous partnership with Coin Channel 6, and they have run repeatedly free PSAs about our message. And I hear very often how people are hearing about us through those PSAs.
How about actually collaborating with some of the senior communities itself? Because, I mean, if people or if, families or individuals do communicate with them and inquire with them, then there's a way for you to be able to then connect, right, with those communities and kind of do an outreach for specific needs, as an example.
Yeah, we are trying to reach decision makers and policymakers and executives that have the power and influence to include older adults in their strategies. And not as much direct service to the older adult themselves.
Mhm.
And so empowering communities to advocate for themselves and be part of the movement is what we're trying to influence, lifting those voices. So, if someone needs housing in the area where we've opened housing, we have a specific outreach strategy, but our property managers really handle that instead of us directly. Yeah, I would say our outreach is about systems change more than anything else.
So, as far as your biggest challenge, if you had a magic wand to address that biggest challenge, what would it be?
It would be at the very root, to eliminate ageism, to eliminate the bias and misperceptions and stereotypes that keep older adults from engaging in society to the extent they really are capable. Going back to that, aging is not all about the deficits.
Mhm.
But we have this terrible view or denial or bad taste in our mouth about getting old. I mean, from the jokes we tell, the birthday cards we give, to, not broadcasting everything with QR codes and expecting community engagement of older adults, for listening sessions and whatnot to come from a QR code instead of having a phone number to call or sign up. So there are big and little things like that, so that people really appreciate and value older adults instead of just seeing them as a burden.
Actually, I think I just thought of one thing that I'd like to maybe discuss with you further to possibly help with that. It just kind of came up, and it does have to do with outreach. So I think that's it. Anything else you'd like to add? Want the community to know?
I think as we see, pressures economically and people going without, supporting nonprofits who are helping really offset government aid that now isn't even happening is really important. So if it's not Age Plus, please do support your nonprofit community with your donation and your time, because we're a small business too. And without any revenue, we don't have a mission. So
That is so true. Hey, well, I do want to thank you so much. And thank you very much for your organization's contribution. Hopefully, it can stretch out to all the way to Washington, maybe.
absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm going to get there pretty soon. So, ageism disappearing would be a great, great accomplishment. So, thank you again for your time and appreciate you. Period.
Thank you.
You have a good rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Care Forward Innovations. We hope today's episode inspired you to help shape the future of senior care. Remember, big change starts small. Let our passion uncover fresh ideas and drive great changes forward. Be sure to follow us for more upcoming episodes where we share best practices, lessons learned, and practical solutions for senior care from other leaders. Let's keep moving. Care forward.